this vessel, take it off of here. Get off of here. You shall not quit. You shall not die until you see the promises of God.
And God said, I can qualify you, come on, to give birth. I can qualify you to handle pain and yet still press out purpose. Some of you have spiritual tapeworms because you're listening to everybody but your leader.
Because as long as his soul is in alignment, I'm giving back his stuff.
I'll forgive the sin. I'll heal your life. Your breakthrough, it is your promise. You got to tell frustration, you've held me long enough. I've got to move. Take your hands off of me. I'm going higher.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Calling All Hannah's Girl Talk. I am so excited to be with each and every one of you again for another episode of the Girl Talk. We have a wonderful show planned for us. We have received all of your questions and we're going to get to all of them. But before we do, please, 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 if you have not registered yet for the Calling All Hannah's Prayer and Prophetic Encounter, you need to do so immediately. The registration is only $100. It's going to be in New Jersey. 2 days. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot wait. You already saw the promo video. We're asking that you please don't delay. It'll be here before you know it. So register, register, register. Listen, I need you to help me tag and share to all of your friends, your family. Type in their name if you know their Facebook name so they can just join right in, please, because today is going to be some heavy topics that we discuss. And we want to make sure that we are letting the world know that the Girl Talk is on and we heard them and we have answers for them. So please share. Thank you so much to those of you that are coming on. I see Pastor Jackson on. I see Justina on. I see Tonea on. So many of you on. So good to see you, Valerie. Thank you for coming on. I see so many of you. I'm excited. I'm excited as well. Elder Davis, thank you for being on. Those of you, please tag and share. Let's get the word out. Let's get the word out because it's going to be on. Listen, we're going to bring in our co-host on the screen, on the platform, and we're going to dive right in. We're going to dive right in. Hello.
Hi, God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you all so much, Dr. Liston Page, Prophetess Cordelia Wallace, and Dr. Jacqueline Gates. Thank you for being on with me again. I'm so excited to see you. I always get excited when we are all together here on this platform. Listen, before we get started, Dr. Gates, would you please open up in prayer?
Yes, Father, we thank you. Thank you for this time of sharing. We ask you now as we talk about the relationship matters, as we talk about matters of the heart, of loving and living, that it won't just be a love talk, but it'll be a love walk, and we will demonstrate the power, oh God, to interface with one another with grace and with humility, with strength and with power. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We're going to dive right into it. And I'm going to throw this first question to you, Dr. Gates, and then I'm going to throw it to Prophetess Wallace, and then we're going to throw it to our bishop, who has to represent all of the men. Okay. Why do women look for evidence that he's cheating? Why do women look for evidence that he's cheating? Reverend Wallace.
No, you said Dr. Gates.
Oh, that's right. I was looking at your face and you're like, wow. I
would have yielded the floor. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, beautiful host. Thank you so much. I believe that it's two-pronged. It could come from a place of insecurities. Well, three insecurities, um, lack of natural, and then I'm going to come from a kingdom lens of spiritual maturity, natural and spiritual maturity, or and a place of some type of emotional or physical betrayal. So you could be carrying some old pain that you have to, if that's what you're thinking and that's what you're feeling.
I agree. Reverend Wallace.
I do want to piggyback on what Dr. Gates said. I totally believe that it's a part of insecurity. I agree that I also feel like it's your own self-esteem. And I don't know if self-esteem and lack of security are, they go hand in hand or cousins. But oftentimes, when women do that, I think it's your esteem about who you are and lack of confidence of who you are. I think the third thing is you've had a cheater before. And if you've had a cheater before, unless through divine providence, God removes that out of your spirit, for some strange reason, you will always think that a man is cheating when he says he's somewhere. It's lack of trust. And I don't know, but and this is just my confidence is that I think if you look for something, you're going to find something. And I just, I'm not the girl, and surely I'm not the girl. I'm not going to go through your phone. I'm not going to go through your mail. I'm not going to put a tracker on your car. I'm just not that person, because if I look for something, probability, you'll find something. And I just personally think that you have to, if you're in a relationship that has always been trusting, then don't start looking for stuff.
That's good. Bishop.
I think Jack and Cordelia have done a wonderful job with the question, but I would add, as a man, I think women look for evidence of cheating when routines in that man change.
That's true.
I think when communication changes, when his appearance changes, when his lack of wanting to communicate changes, the way he used to communicate changes. All of those are telltale signs that a man has become disinterested with the woman he's having a relationship with. When he becomes a bit more secretive, not private, than he used to be. When he now gives out one word answers opposed to a full dissertation. I think there's several telltale signs. And I would think right off the bat, insightful women like the three of you all could tell immediately without even looking, that Negro doing something. I mean, outside of just your intuition and your high level of spirituality, you're gonna tell. I don't believe Hattie, you, Jack, or Cordelia will ever get caught off guard when any man being nefarious. And I don't want to be spooky today, but I don't think God would allow you all to get caught off guard. You're going to discern it. And it's not because you're looking your spirituality mixed with natural intuition and being highly analytical as a woman. You're going to tell his movements have changed. What's up? Now, men may call that, why you investigate it. No. Men are routine. When we break routines, women have a right to ask a question. What happened? Something's wrong. When we don't want to communicate, we stayed up all night talking on the phone. Now I give you, I can't talk after 9 o'clock. I'm unreachable when I used to be accessible. All of those things are signs.
That's your sign.
So Bishop, what you said, because you're right on it. If that is the case, is it wrong for a woman to try to gather evidence before she comes to that person because she may feel, I have a gut feeling, as you so wonderfully stated, because it's absolutely true. And she says, well, let me see if I can find evidence because I know he's going to deny it. What about the deniers? So she says, I need the evidence. Is it wrong for her then?
Well, I'll say this, and then I know Jack and Cordu is ready to jump in, but I think that is a defense mechanism, smokescreen and mirrors for a man, because when you come to me with an accusation without concretized evidence, now you've given me the opportunity to defend or to cover up or to be untruthful, because I know you don't know, but I know you on to something. I can sense you're on my track and you're close. I mean, that's the reality for a man. So to throw you off, he becomes more offensive than he becomes defensive. See, men become more offensive when they're caught than defensive. They'll turn it on you and say, well, where were you at when I called such and such a day? Why didn't you answer that text when I text such and such a day? They're very offensive when they are wrong, and they want you to prove that they're wrong. See, let me tell you something about a man who cheats.
Oh boy. No,
this is true. Tell me if a man cheats. He doesn't mind interrogation, because interrogation means you don't have concrete evidence. Wow. When a woman has evidence, she does not interrogate. She asks a couple of questions, already knowing you're going to lie. And after you lie, she said, now, okay, I gave you an opportunity. Tell me the truth. What is it? And everything they present, you can't defend. So now you compound lie on top of lie. I'm sorry, brothers. Y'all forgive me.
Dr. Kate.
That, so powerful what Bishop said from that male perspective. And it definitely is happening. I just wanted to state, the distraction. I want to insert in there, the man could be just distracted. It doesn't mean that he actually have cheated. So men, before they actually go into their action, they first get distracted.
Nice.
And then after the distraction, they then in their own mindset say, is this worth me taking this risk? And then because they know they are prone to hide and cheat and lie, then they'll start going on this whole little campaign of I wasn't there and I don't know what you're talking about and you crazy and this is what's going on and what's wrong with the relationship. No, there's nothing going on. Nobody's crazy, but it's your behavior that is telling me something different. And therefore, as a partner, now let me say this as relative to partner, a woman and a man that is not committed, it is not in a covenant relationship. If you see that you have evidence, be it mental, emotional, receipts, whatever you want to say under that, and you're not committed or in a covenant, you could easily walk away. So everyone has these zeniths, stuff that is a non-negotiable. You can choose to walk away. Under a covenant, when you sense, as Bishop said, their behavior change and all the things they do, and he gave very direct actions of a man, behaviors of a man. Under a covenant, I would say to that wise woman, know the timing when you want to address. And if you are the type of female that need proof outside of your insight, make sure when you get ready to go in that room, you have all your evidence, because the house could fall down on false evidence.
That's right.
And so that means keep your crazy friends out of the situation.
My Lord.
Because sometimes they make you suspect and suspicious, and you now become a private eye without cause, only having a man that could be under pressure, could be very distracted, and you now need to become that intercessor opposed to that irritator.
Nice. So, Dr. Gates, because I see in the comment section, if a person is distracted, the one that you with is distracted, thank you, Trinity. Minister Marshall, she says, so it's being distracted by having conversation with another considered cheating?
Another outside the relationship?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, that's If you're distracted and you're distracted, could be it just now warfare or war in your mind. You know, it's a stronghold in your mind. You have not committed it by actually engaging in a act, but it's in your mind. But if you now pick up the phone and you're starting to text and you're starting to have conversation, yes, you're cheating on that person, male or female. You are cheating on them because someone else has your attention. So it's only a matter of time and space before you all say, let's connect, let's get together. I'm not committed. They don't have no ring. And I'm talking from that facet of it. Now we come to the end of the covenant. It is adultery. You understand? So you are cheating. Whether you're doing it through emotional, online, a whole lot of emotional relationships have erected. COVID is telling us a whole lot. They didn't slip into the hotel, into the houses, but they're on the phone, they're in the inbox, they're in the DM. So you are cheating. Okay. And so, you know, I think that male, being as the female that's asking the question, I think it's for that male to examine and analyze, what do you want out of the relationship now at this juncture? We won't even judge you about how you came all out on speed 100. We will ask you right now, what do you want? And if you want something else, state that or just remove yourself. But don't put that woman through that kind of rigor to even look for evidence. Just walk away. Just sever it.
That's powerful. That's good. I think that y'all answered the question. Reverend Wallace, did you want to add to it before I move on? All right. So this question I'm going to throw to you first, Bishop. Whatever my husband states that he needs, I always try to meet them. However, when I express my need for affection and affirmations, he always says I'm not doing all that. How do I fix this?
Let me ask you a question before I answer that question. You said, is this a husband or a boyfriend or a potential husband? I mean,
she says whenever my husband states.
Okay, there you go. Okay, good. Well, while Jack was talking about that last question, there's 4 things I wrote down. What I feel a woman would need. And that would be security. That would be words of affirmation or open communication. They want affection and they need leadership. Okay. That's the 4 major principles that will create the right synergy in any relationship: security, affection, open dialogue or communication, and leadership. When the man no longer wants to provide the affection, which is a form of affirmation, he is distracted and he is providing it somewhere else. Now, sisters, I know you don't want to hear me say this to you, but I'm going to say it. When a man loses that interest to provide affection, physical touch, words that build and strengthen and give you self-confidence and motivation. It goes back to that one word Jackie said earlier, distraction. Now I believe, and I know the Holy One, Cordelia Wallace, is going to agree with me on this because she's holy. I believe when a man or a woman starts having outside communication with anyone outside of their relationship, and I'm not talking about brother to sister, sister to brother, where the words being articulated are right there on that line of crossing over to even frame those thoughts in your mind, you've already been unfaithful. You've already started to cheat. And the woman is going to feel a sense of disconnect from affection, affirmation, because it's very difficult for a man to give a woman all of those things. Now, he can give them some of those things, multiple women, but real affection, heartfelt love, words of affirmation. In order for us to cheat, we've got to find something deficient in you to talk about. We got to talk about things you're not doing. We can't say, well, you do everything right, I'm just going to cheat. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We find something deficient, and it doesn't have to be a deficiency. It can be something that you shared with us that you don't like about yourself. It could be an insecurity you have. We use that insecurity as the doorway to do things that we should not do. That's my opinion.
Okay, but the last part to that question
said,
was,
how do I
fix it? Yes. How does she fix it?
I think when a man becomes dissatisfied, it becomes impossible to fix it unless he's honest in saying, listen, I think you see, that's hard for me to answer. I'm going to tell you why. I've always believed that putting the pressure on another person to fix themselves, to make you better, I don't think that's fair. I think women have to always be on, and men necessarily don't have to put the same energy in being on as a woman. You have to always look beautiful. You got to always look at your weight. You always got to do your hair. You always got to present this. Where a man, let's be quite frank, he done gained weight too. His hair's falling out too. He need teeth whitening too. I mean, at the end of the day, but women are always put under that pressure, in my opinion, to always be on. So I don't like the whole concept that if you fix this, I'll be better. No, you need to be better, even if I don't fix this, because you said in the vows, for better or for worse, richer or poorer, sickness or in health. What if I'm sick and I can't do any better? You said you would love me in spite of that. So I have that question for me is kind of challenging.
Wow. Reverend Wallace, what is your take on it?
Well, I was sitting there, it's very complex because, like Bishop said, there's something else behind this story that possibly we don't have the whole picture. And she's making herself the guilty partner by saying, how do I fix this? Wow. This is not about you fixing it. This is about us fixing it. And obviously you have always been the fixer. And it's like, I don't know, it's like giving, for a minute it runs smooth. It's like a car, you band-aid your car and then for a minute it runs smooth. And then 2 months later, it goes right back to where it was. That's the same thing that it seems to me that's happening here. She's had fixers before. She's fixed some other things. And at this point, based on her conversation where he doesn't, provide any of the things that she feels like she needs. The whole thing that Bishop said, security, affirmation, affection, and leadership. He's not willing to do that. So I think there needs to be a recalibration. How do you fix you? Because if you fix you, two things will happen. He'll either get himself together or you'll walk out the door.
Our Lord today. Dr. Gates, what you?
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy.
It's
I
heavy.
hope the young lady and her husband is listening right now, because I want to speak to the man and tell him that it's not biblical and he's out of order. I want to support that with Genesis 2:15. It says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work and take care of it. The taking care of it is all of those four things that Bishop stated, as well as that man having a vision plan of what he wants for his relationship. So to put the weight on the woman who asked the question, how do I fix it? I want to make sure I heard another piece too. Her needs, or what she's requesting or needing, did he say it doesn't take all of that, or is that another question?
He always says, I'm not doing all of that.
See, that language is scaring me. How in the world? That whole language scares me. That has to be somebody under 30.
Oh, God.
That language scares me, because one, relationship is about an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me he's a narcissist. He's selfish. Because why would a man who wants a woman say, I'm not doing that? And now she wants to fix it. There is something else, as Bishop Cordelia has stated, there's something else going on in this narrative, but it's very scary that a man would speak that way to a woman. It's disrespectful, it's selfish, and I'm not really sure what's actually, if there's some turmoil going on with him. So, maybe whatever is damaged or is weak inside of him, I pray, sir, that you would go and sit on somebody's couch, or go find you a great man of God that can mentor you if you really want to salvage this marriage, because now you're taking her out of her role of what she's supposed to be to you.
Can I add something to that? Can I add something to what Jackie said, which I think is so profound?
Yes.
Jackie said that he's either 30 or below. Let's say 30 or below. What's interesting, it is a very immature statement, but it's also a statement that sounds like a person that is older and very set in their ways. That I'm concrete. I've lived a certain amount of life, and I do not want to be flexible. I don't want to adapt. I want it my way or no way at all. That is selfish. It's very harsh. But as we get older, talking as an older man, as we get older, there's certain temperaments and dispositions that don't work well with an older man that may be in a younger person. As a younger man or dating someone your age, making that kind of statement when both parties are evolving is just a ludicrous statement, and you do need therapy. But when you get older, 60, 61, maybe 55, the statement is being made from a different place. Listen, I've raised a family, had children, suffered a divorce or a loss of a spouse through death. My life is pretty well set. I don't want anything to come into this space that's going to create chaos and not peace. And I'm not going to do all of that. I can see that statement, but not from a relational perspective. Relationships are partnerships and collaboration. You have to be flexible. You have to have adaptability, or just stay by yourself. Because as long as you bring somebody in your life, you're going to have to make adjustments. It's called relationship.
Especially if they're human.
Well, I'm sorry.
Batteries. If you go in to get some batteries, you can work it out by yourself. But let me tell you this. The manufacturers are creating women that men can now connect with. Now we know in these sex shops, all that they got these dolls and all of that. I don't want to take the show in another direction, but what I'm saying is, it's the mindset and the culture of today is that no one has longevity, and everything is so quick. And if I'm not satisfied, I'm going to discard you, and no one wants to do the work.
That's
Genesis 2:15. You have to do the work. When you take on a woman, that's an investment. A woman as well, taking on with a man and connecting with him, you then have a responsibility as the nurturer, that woman that keeps the house. Everyone have their role to play. And if you're not going to do it at whatever age, even I just wanted to say, even with the statement of Bishop about, those in the older category or more seasoned category, which myself, I'm in that category. Abraham and Sarah, he had to do something at 99. She had to do something at 100. You have to do something. So you can't come in with these false expectations that it is going to be on one person. No, you got to do your work. I have to do my work. And then we have something wonderful working.
I love it. Reverend Wallace, I believe you had something you wanted to add.
So the only thing that I'm stuck at, he says, I'm not doing all of that.
We're back there.
What are you going to do, sir?
Well, it sounds like that there's some parts of it that he's doing, but it's not enough for her.
She could be over asking, yes.
And she and I don't know what the age is, but I somewhat kind of believe that it could be both ages. It could be 30 or it could be 60, because both of them are in those places of independence and confidence. But keep saying, I'm not doing all that. And maybe, and I don't want to take his side, but maybe she's requiring more than she did. Maybe, and I say that because if she's a woman that's in her 40s or late 40s, early 50s, she's having some hormonal downhill things going on, and her needs are changing, and her affirmation about who she is changing. And maybe all along he did enough, but in this season of her life, she requires more.
That's powerful. That
because it doesn't sound like he's not saying I don't affirm you or I don't give you affection, but it sounds like to me he's saying I do that, but I don't have no more. I don't have no more.
That's legitimate.
That's good. I think that all of you have, this has been very good. I think that you targeted. I mean, of course, we don't have her here for us to interview and say, give us a little bit more context, exactly what you're talking about. And so we can really hit it. But I really do think that all of the collaboration with the answers is good. So, and they are on. So I'm hoping that we answered that question. Anybody else wanted to go into more in depth with this before I move on? Because this one was a heavy one. This one was a heavy one because it really started to get into the relationship. Like, if he's not going to give more than she's required, then what do they do? I think it's a decision. I personally believe that everything is not a cutthroat. I do believe that sometimes that in a relationship, especially husband and wife, I don't know how long they've been married, love do evolve. And as Reverend Wallace says, sometimes the person is evolving and we're missing it. Just like, those of us who have children, We can wake up and then all of a sudden their feet grew. We don't see it, but they're in the same house, but there was growth there. And sometimes you can be so close that you forget or you don't see the growth. So you do have to reset and really seek help, maybe getting a mediator. The next question is, are men supposed to be the primary financial provider, Bishop?
Ooh, let's go out, Bishop. We want to know.
What is God saying about that? Let's turn the curve.
World traveler, revival. We want to know. Yeah. Reformation.
Well, I'll say this. Since Jackie went to the Bible and talked about Genesis 2 and 15, because she went to the scriptures first, right? Mm-hmm. I would say if we look at the creation narratives of chapter 1 and in chapter 2, and in my theological opinion, the creation narrative of chapter 2 really should be in chapter 1 because it gives us more details to how the man was created. In chapter number 1, it just kind of gives you a little overview. He created male and female. But in chapter number 2, it goes into how God looks into the psyche of man and says it is not good for a man to be alone. So a relationship with a woman was not a man idea. That was a God idea.
Yes.
Period. God said it is not good for man. And he's not talking about mankind. He's being gender specific in that particular text. Wow. All right. So it's not good for a man to be alone. He will get him this, and this is real deep, helper, comparable, that is in complement of him. Now, I can push that envelope into this whole theology of complementarianism, which we don't like to talk about, because complementarianism seems to go against the whole egalitarian concept where male and female in gender co-share in authority and in power. Now, me personally, I believe you will never know what it is to be a real man until you know how to take care of a woman. When God made man, gender man, he made him in his image, in his likeness. We can argue the imago Dei is for male and female. But my argument is, if man is supposed to be the federal head of the human race, man, that is gender specific, man is supposed to be the federal head of a particular role and protocol. I think before a man takes on the responsibility of taking care of a woman, he should have all the resources necessary to do that, because a real man wants to be able to provide for his home. But the Bible says that God would give him a helper. That does not mean that she is to help him meet all of his requirements and all of his needs, but she is a helper. She helps meet that element in man that is lacking. And that is that interaction part, because I will make him a helper that is compatible to him. There's got to be someone that is compatible. Now, that compatibility does not underscore or it does not clearly define that she has a 50-50 role in financial obligations. I believe in the modern contemporary world that we live in, if you're going to be successful, and as a man, you did not do the necessary work, as Jackie said, the work to be able to be financially solvent, to take care of a woman, you're going to need her support or her help. But I believe that men should do what they're supposed to do. And in doing so, you'll put yourself in a position that you can handle all the responsibilities of taking care of that woman. You should not depend on her, because one day she may come home and say, I'm pregnant. And you may have to bear all that responsibility. So before you take on the responsibilities of being a husband, you should make sure you have your career intact and that you're making enough that you can meet all of the needs of the home without any unnecessary pressure and stress and frustration that as a man you feel you're going to take it out on that woman. So I think, yes, I think the man should put himself in a position where he can take care of all of those responsibilities.
Before I pass it over, Bishop, that was amazing. In the culture that we're living in now, where we have a lot of single parenting, and particularly women raising boys, what is the in between? What you gave us was God's standard from the beginning. How do a man now shift his mindset where the culture is a woman who is the provider in the home? How do he shifts that without losing possibly somebody that he absolutely care about? What is the transition there?
Well, I'm sure most people are not going to agree with me because they call me a biblical idolater. I believe in what the Bible says. Now that's to me. I don't believe in secular, humanistic, contemporary formulas. I don't believe in that. I believe that there are different biblical pedagogies or methods that can be developed. But I believe the word is the word. And if we use the word as the formula, we're going to have guaranteed success. Men, stop skirting around your responsibility and grow up and be a man, period. Now, if you marry a A-type personality like Cordelia Wallace, Jacqueline Gates, Hattie Robinson, you have to have the capacity to understand that you are involved with a leader with a voice, a leader with a vision, a leader with a plan, period. So in order for me to gain the respect of being a man for Cordelia, I got to come to the table with a plan. Delia, hey, this is what I see, man. We can really do this. This is my plan. Well, Bishop, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. No, when you have that type of woman like yourselves, if you want to be a man to lead them, you have to have a plan and have your business in order. Most men, by and large, look for women like their mothers to take care of them because they don't want to be the federal head of the relationship that provides the care and the nurture and the protection and the security. You know what? That's why God makes us in his image. A real man to feel like God, not the God, but at least have an apotheosis mentality to the point where he's the image of God, has to know what it is to take care of something that God gives him. God brings the woman to the man, not to abuse her, but to take care of her. That's why God brings her to him. Read the text. God brings her to him under his protecting hand to now say, you take care of what I created for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a man. That ain't a boy. That's a man.
Woo! Selah. Reverend Wallace, what do you have to add to this?
Well, I totally agree with everything Bishop has said, but there are two things that I do want to say. One, I believe you asked the question about single moms who have sons.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to teach that male child who will become a man, and probably a man in your house, how to be responsible. And it should start very early on as a female parent.
Wow.
You should teach them how to make their beds. You should teach them how to take out the garbage. You should teach them how to be responsible for their laundry. And as they go older and they're still living in your house, they must pay rent. They must bring some portion of financial assistance, not because you need it, but because you're teaching them, training them how to take on the roles and functions of a man. Okay, that's first thing. And the second thing is that we live in a different age. We live in a day and time where women are employed. You know, when Liston's mom, Bishop's mom, you know, was bringing all of her children, she was a woman that was employed, but her sole responsibility was to be there for her family, to cook meals and to make sure the house was taken care of, etc. We live in a different time. And more women are working in corporate America now than ever before. And more women are making a lot more money than their male counterparts or their potential spouses or their boyfriends. But that does not change the dynamic. Okay. It is still his responsibility to be able to say that I am going to do fully what I need to do. Now, that may be different in a lot of relationships now, because maybe he might say, I'm going to do 70% and you do 30. The 30 may be DirecTV. The 30 may be the water bill. I don't know what the 30 is. But I do believe, and this is me talking in the culture that we live, I believe it is necessary that as a helpmate, and you are fully employed, you should bring something to the house. You should assist in that area. I do not believe you should take on the larger part and let him, you know, watch games on television all day. He can't do that. It doesn't matter whether he's working Walmart and McDonald's and BJ's all at the same time. He's got to max out that 60%, that 70%, because if not, as a woman that I am, I'm not going to respect you. I'm not going to look to you to do anything for me, because you're not doing what you are assigned to do biblically as a husband and as a man.
And it's going to affect that sex. It's
And
going
it will
to
affect everything.
It's going to affect that sex. Cordelia ain't giving up nothing. Period. You ain't going to get none. You can pray, speak in tongues. If them bills ain't paid and you ain't responsible, it affects the romance. Period.
It affects the romance. It affects the relationship. It affects the communication. It affects everything, like you said, Bishop. And so I believe that it is necessary. Women have to let men be men. You know, stop. You can't be their mother and their bed partner too. Let him be a man. Let him go out and get a job. You know, let him do whatever it is that he has to do, as long as it don't put him in jail. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it is who God created them to be. And you're absolutely right. You may get sick. Can he take care of the house while you're being in an ill position? Can he do that? He needs to know how it feels. If you don't teach your children how it feels to be responsible, and then they will always feel that there's money in the backyard because you're taking money out of a tree that comes out of the backyard. Same process in these relationships and marriages. We must permit the men to be men and don't give them a pass. You can't give him a pass. If you give him a pass once, he's going to take a pass all the time.
My God. Dr. Gates, did you want to add to this?
No. I'm just quiet. I am not, I have nothing to add. Bishop Cordell, these bishops have spoken so well. 10 of these men, 20 of them come to my church. I got girls that desire husbands, want husbands. Find your way to 334. That's all.
And that's a very serious point, though, Dr. Jackie, is because don't be so desperate to have a man that you permit yourself to tolerate that he's not employed. You know, I say all the time, every man is not going to wear a tie and a suit to work every day. Every man's not going to work on Wall Street. There's some great guys out here that have degrees or certificates in plumbing and electrician and electrical services. And I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, a man is supposed to work.
Yes.
So, Little Wallace, let me sorry, Bishop, did you have something?
I was just going to add to what Cordelia said. Sisters, stop letting men use this psychology of arrested emotional development to keep you in the position of being the breadwinner and the provider. Yeah. Stop allowing them to say society has dealt us as Black men such a bad hand through colonization and through westernization, through Americanization, that we can't provide. The devil is a lie. Stop. You don't have to be a Harvard graduate. You can be a self-made man, but it comes from something within. You have to have that drive. You got to have that mindset. You have to have that will, and stop settling. If you develop a standard, make them come up to the standard. If they don't come up to the standard, you then compromise. Anything that's not standard is compromise. Don't compromise.
My God, today.
And who they're learning from, who their teachers, because a lot of them, their word level is low. So the man is powerful. We go back to Genesis. He's so powerful. God allowed him to name us. You named us. So take care of what you named. You brought us out. We were taken out of you to now be helper. You named us woman. So if we've been taken from you, why wouldn't you want to take care of what came out of you?
That's right.
It's all about mindset.
Ooh. And the other thing was, I just want to throw this in there, because sometimes, like Bishop said, every Black male, and let's talk about Black men for a second. Every Black man is not going to college. Every Black man is not going to finish a degree. And sometimes everybody cannot start at the top. Well, I believe that all of us that are sitting here can have the testimony. We didn't start at the top. It takes time to get there. And so sometimes you do have to start out as a clerk in McDonald's. But if you see the company and the big picture of the company, you can become a regional manager. You can become a vice president in a certain area, a certain region. It doesn't even have to be in the United States of America. But no, I'm going to work here until I get to the position that I want. I may start out making $5 an hour, but at the end of the day, I'm going to have a $500,000 salary or $1 million salary. It's your perception of who you are and the assignment as a man, not as a bishop, not as a pastor or a prophet, but as a man, to be responsible. If you cannot be responsible for you, and I don't know which one said it, if you can't be responsible for you, if you can't pay your own bills, if you can't make sure your things are taken care of, you're not ready for a wife. You're not ready.
And Cordelia, to add to that, we cannot be remiss to mention what compromises all of these complicated solutions that we have provided today is once you have premature sexual intimate relation.
Yes.
It now clouds up the ability to function properly.
Absolutely.
That's why you got to gird up the loins. You got to gird up. You got to gird them up. I'm telling you, because once them loins become unbridled and they're not girded up, you no longer start thinking with sensibilities above the waistline. You start thinking about satisfaction below the waistline. which is a recipe for disaster. Because once you get out the bed, my car note is due.
My Lord.
I need a car note.
Mortgage. Hello.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But men are so logical and they will take it. They'll take everything from the waist down because they move by logic and we move by emotions. We respond to anything a man does. A woman, we were created that way. We are responsive. And so therefore we make new definitions of what a relationship should be because of opening up too soon or just in general without having that benchmark, that standard. No touching. You make that commitment.
Dr. Gates, I'm going to start it with you. Is it all right to date your ex if you see that they have changed?
It's a personal choice. I don't think we need. You know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. I think it's a personal choice, and that's you taking yourself through all these assessments, self-assessment, relationship assessment, and to know that you're willing to actually give it another try. I do believe, and I don't want to spiritualize a natural thing because it is a personal choice. God gives us the power of choice. But I do believe in the ministry of reconciliation. But it has to be enough that if you're going to reconcile and you're going to take your ex back, do not become an error keeper. That when you get to your first conflict, your first argument, try to win that relationship and not bring up old stuff. And that's why I should have never took you back. And you will never change. You're going to take yourself through some mental stress. Again, when you get to a certain age bracket, you already know that's an accident waiting to happen. So you just won't do it. But sometimes the younger generation is more risky. See, in my late 50s, I don't take that kind of a risk. You know, it just wouldn't work for me mentally and more so emotionally. So although the person could change, they have changed better for themselves and for someone else that has been graced to love them, not me.
Reverend Wallace.
They're bad, don't mean I'm bad. It's just that, you know, it's just, sometimes at a certain age, you just don't want to take that kind of a risk.
It is a risk.
It's a risk. It's a risk to be able to self-control yourself and not see them through the lens of who they were or what they did to you. Now, if you both just split because of a younger age, okay, we're here and we plateaued, we're just not going to work. There's been no violations. You know, you had arguments, whatever, but no real betrayals and stuff that just ravaged the relationship. Then there's possibilities you can rejoin at a different time in life, right? But if there's been a lot of betrayal and all of that, listen, you have that relationship by faith, and then you have your own bandwidth of what you can handle. So I just said proceed with caution, and it is a personal choice, and I believe God will honor you. Woke up right before Him. He will honor your choice, but He will let you know this was your choice. So my grace is sufficient for you. And that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say, people.
That was good. That was good. Reverend Wallace, what is your take on it?
I just I just don't. I concur with Dr. Gates. You know, you could have changed, and maybe you did change, but not for me.
My Lord.
I just, you know,
the Lamborghini won't do it.
I'm not.
Capital Grill won't do
I'm
it.
not. I'm just not.
I'm done.
I don't. I have a hard time with relationships like that.
Yeah.
Because usually some trigger, let me call it that. Some trigger will be said or done that will cause me to reflect on something that was not good for me. And I would rather us be able to say that we've gone on and we're good and we can be cordial. But for us to, I mean, God would have to come down in the bush.
My Lord.
Because I want to know
My Lord.
who you in between all these years of absence. Who were you sexually with? What happened? It's just
not worth it. It's just
Okay, so most women would not go back to their ex. Most women. Bishop, what is your take on it from a male perspective?
Seminary, sir. I want to go to seminary.
Listen, I feel the passion, or should I say, the sincerity, of Cordelia and Jack's answer. I really do. And the one word that they both used, which is the operative word, is risky. So why take a risk unless you have seen notable changes in an individual? And normally, if a man had the opportunity, and I will call it a pleasure, to have a relationship with a Hattie Robinson, a Jacqueline Gates, a Cordelia Wallace, and I love all of you, and I say it would be a privilege for a man, an honor to be in a relationship with you. If he jacked that up,
my Lord,
it's a wrap. You're gonna see him in the resurrection or the rapture. Other than that, it's over. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the three of you all are going to be loving and nurturing and caring, and you're going to be patient with this evolution. You're gonna wait for him to evolve into a certain space. But once you've made a decision, and this is the deep thing about women that men don't quite understand. A woman could have your children, be your wife, and once they have emotionally divorced themselves from you, they will love you. You'll be sick. This is deep. You can be sick. They'll bring you chicken soup. They go get your prescriptions. They drive you to the doctor, and they put you out of the car. I'll see you at your next appointment. Now, don't get no idea. Ain't nothing going on. I love you because you're the father of my children. That's one layer. But if they don't have any children and there are no attachments, they put boundaries and lines of demarcation in the relationship. And they'll tell you, don't call me after a certain time. And you may wait, babe. No, wait. Time out. That's not what we are. We're not enemies, but let's not let the lines get blurred. That's how women are. Now, men, let me tell you how we are. Let me talk about these brothers.
Talk Bishop.
Brothers will go back. Wow. Let me tell you why. Well, and Cornel West said it best in his book, Race Matters. Things that we feel we have conquered make us feel like a man, make us feel like we're success, because we're born predators. So if I need to get that predatorial affirmation, I go back to what I conquered. I go back to what I feel like I've mastered and controlled. And for some men, it can become a game. And you women got to understand that it can be a game. He got the sex. He know what it's like. Good sex, but I don't really want no relationship, but I do want that sex. So I'm going to find a way to keep that door open. So from time to time, I can come back up in there and get what I want. And then I'll say to you, I never told you we were excluded. I never said that.
Mama.
You know, you knew what this was. So I don't think it's wise, in my opinion, unless, and Jackie says something that's interesting. She said reconciliation, which is a ministry that all of us is supposed to have. But here's the deal with reconciliation. Reconciliation does not mean that I put you back in the same place you were before. So in the theater of my life, you may not have a front row. You may not have an opera seat. You may be up in the balcony now, where I don't allow proximity and presence to cloud up my emotional feelings. Because once you have been intimate and been in a relationship, it is about maintaining a healthy emotional balance. And sometimes that comes with distance, not access.
That's right. That's
Wow.
good.
Well, I'm gonna go right to the next question. Since you're on fire, Bishop, I'm gonna start with you. And this is a guy saying this. Me and my girl have been dating for a while. However, I'm still not ready for marriage. How can I reassure her that I am committed, even though I'm not ready for marriage?
That's for me.
That's for you first, and then we'll loop it over.
You know, I remember a few shows ago. I don't know how many, but Cordelia and Jackie did address something similar to this. That we as believers, and I know everyone that watches us and gains advice from what we say is not necessarily strong faith practicing believers. So I get it. Understand that. So for believers like us, though, we tell people and we counsel people to date with an intention. If the intention is ultimately to be married and to please God, when a person tells you that that is no longer the intention, you have a decision to make. Do you want to continue to invest time in something that they have clearly said to you is not their intent? Now I remember Jack and Cordelia addressing this before. That's a hard conversation to have, but we must have them. So you know, I would say to the sister that asked the question, you need to have a real heart-to-heart conversation, because there must be an expiration date on dancing and on dating. You can't, this ain't no infinite eternal dating. It's gotta end. And I mean, really, you gotta attach an expiration date, and it may hurt you because you may really love them. And quite frankly, they may really love you, because men that won't pull the trigger many times, they're afraid. They're really afraid. They are either they're in somewhat maybe my space where you've had a lot that you lost. You know, you just, do you want to lose any more if you don't? Because the reality is, no matter how saved we are, relationships don't always end in till death do us part. You know, I every time I look at Cordelia, I celebrate how graceful she is. Now, she's a beautiful woman, but she's so graceful to have that experience and still maintain that beauty and that inner beauty and that outer beauty and that confidence. But that's till death do us part. You can't tell me that death is a loss. Divorce is the same thing. I don't care what anyone says. Divorce is a loss, and it takes a part of you, to not a literal grave, but there is a figurative grave with divorce that's hard for me to even articulate. And it's a part of you that it takes a while to recover, even if you do recover. There's a part of you shut off, and people don't get that part of you anymore. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the reality, in my opinion.
Dr. Right. Gates, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to chime in to say, okay, so it's a loss, but it's not a life sentence. So if you're getting the benefit of the relationship on so many other levels, why not become vulnerable enough that trust comes in to give it to that woman that loves you and is there and reassuring you that she is helper? You know, why do we come on a crutch now because of pain and because, and I'm speaking as a divorced woman, there is life after divorce.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to carry that baggage, although it's a reality. I wouldn't want to carry it into a new construct that my life can't be changed and it's going to shut off from you here when you're so good to look upon. You're so good woman. You know what, Bishop? I'm gonna stop. I don't do that when you giving your $25,000 word. When you giving your seminarian experience, I don't do none of that. But he starts laughing when I'm talking. You know what that is like? I'm gonna get you. I'm coming for you. Yes. So I think that timeline. So I'm gonna go to the question, but I want to come back to Bishop because I really want Bishop takes us up to this mountain, and then he tries to drop me at a speed. You're not gonna drop me at a speed today. You're not gonna swear no on hurt. You're not gonna hold no little category that I can come in this room, that room, that room, that room, but that part is off forever. No, we're gonna believe in the redemptive power, the transformative power. Day before Pentecost, and we're gonna believe in this power. We're gonna believe in this power. But to the gentleman and the young lady, he did come forth and tell you that he's not ready, but he wants to reassure you. So he's looking for a way to reassure you that you are the one and he's going to do it. Now, the way my 58-year-old mind works, I want to know, and this is what makes me, get my mind going. How long have they been dating? How long have they been engaged? That we're now at the point of him needing to give reassurance. Because if you're going to do it, if you're dating, you're going to give her the ring. If you gave her the ring, you're going to set a date. So we're moving into progression. Relationships should be progressive. And we all talked about a word that's been, swinging around back and forth today, evolving. So because we're all evolving, then we should be an expression of what God is saying about marriage and the church, or the bride of Christ in the church. We are God's representation on the earth. So I think it becomes unhealthy when we want to pull these crutches to say, this is why I'm stalling, or this is why I have not yet. Don't go until get something old to come into something new when you already free. And the mere fact that we're together, I represent freedom. I'm your freedom. When you see me, you are do I have a class on this afternoon?
Oh, Lord Jesus.
When a man sees that woman that he selected, there ought to be a joy come to him and say, I have to have. When Isaac saw Rebecca, now we know about the servants. Come on, Bishop. Am I talking right or wrong?
You talking right?
I'm talking right. Thank you so much, sir. So when Isaac saw Rebecca, come on, he was so beholden by her beauty. What did he do? He did something. And he came with what? He did something and he came with something. He came with camels. So I said to the man, mindset, another thing we talk about today, stop hanging on at convenience what you can't do right now. Because now it makes me think, now let me go to the other end of the spectrum. Beyond the length of time, let me go to the end of how are you holding yourself when I'm over here clutching my pearls and saying, Lord, hold me, keep me together. Because this man is so beautiful to look upon. You created, he's in your image, God. He's an expression of you. I want him. Why would you make me suffer? I'm laughing, but it's the truth. Why, it's a mental torture that can come into an indirect emotional, rape, because you're attaching yourself to me, but then you want to shut me down at will about the marriage when you know you already got all of my emotions open. My senses are heightened, and I just want to be Miss Liston Page. I want to be Miss Liston Page. Look, I'm gonna shake, but I want to be Miss Liston Page Jr. And you gonna tell me that in some areas that ain't nobody gonna go into. Oh no, we going in there. When they say you can go in all these rooms, but don't you go in that room? Like, is there somebody dead in there? Who is that? We gonna see, and I want to know how much Holy Ghost you got that we can call out fire and get this room clean.
Come on,
because I have no limitations. I'm going in every room and every room in the house, the basement and up into the attic. Okay, and you can make love in any room you want to because you are the representation of God's love. So we want to release each other to be free to love, to laugh, and have this commitment, because it's time for us to see marriages that last. We have those tests, thank God, of those like Apostle Liston Sr. and all of the others. So we could call, a plethora of names of those who have longevity. And thank God we have that, right? But now it's time for my generation and then the millennial generation. Because if we don't start getting new templates, this, the next generation, everything that the culture is pushing, they'll say, well, why I have to do it? They, now they're living in, they having children before they get married, and then doing the gender reveal, and everything that was more traditional is no longer traditional. So, I don't want to be laborious or loquacious, Bishop.
I cannot.
I can use 25-gallon words too.
No, I cannot tonight. Reverend Wallace, let me ask you this one. Reverend Wallace, how do you safeguard your ministry if your marriage doesn't work? How do you safeguard your ministry if your marriage doesn't work?
Wow, that's pretty serious. I think the best way to safeguard your ministry if your marriage doesn't work is to be honest and transparent. I think too often marriage is complicated. Marriage is complicated, and all marriages are not going to work. There's a lot of giving, there's a lot of taking, and so if your marriage doesn't work, I think the best way I think you need to take a minute and get you together. And then when you come back, I think you need to be as transparent as you can about, I'm not talking about, and I want to say this very seriously, stop bashing each other. Stop, just stop. Everybody played a part in the relationship. Stop saying what he didn't do and he did this and he did that. There were some parts to this you did too.
That's right.
So it's not about bashing. It's about the fact it didn't work. We're all in a place of healing. My healing process is not to bash him. As a matter of fact, there's a part of him that I will always love. But in going forward, this is the ministry that I believe that God has called me to. I think that keeps you clean, that keeps your ministry healthy, and it gives you the transparency in front of other people, not just women, but in front of other people, to say, you know what? I can appreciate her authenticity. I can appreciate her honesty, because you would rather be honest before people than let people talk behind your back. People going to talk anyhow, but it's always better when you put it out there rather than they put it out there. And again, I don't think that you should have to give details. It's not their business. You know, it could be that we didn't like each other's feet. It's not their business. You know, it just didn't work. And at some point you have to be, as an attorney doesn't give details. You ask a question, they're going to give you the answer. We give too much information, and then people use that information against us. And then we become bitter and angry. So if your marriage didn't work, you might come off social media for a little while. You might sit down in somebody's church for 60 to 90 days, maybe longer, depending on the complexity of the divorce or the separation. You might do that, because whether you believe it or not, you need to be healed. Whether you believe it or not, you need some internal things to work for you right now. And so that is what I just believe you should do. But I do want to say something about this last conversation, though, Hattie. I'm sorry.
Go.
Because he says, me and my girl have been dating for a while, and surely we've touched on that. And I know Bishop Liston's going to say I'm being holy. Well, I am going to be holy, and I say it all the time. I just believe that it's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, when you date too long, too many other things creep in. We are human beings. We are flesh being, blood-driven human beings. And when we start spending so much time together, there's no way that we can say that we're not going to find ourselves in an odd place. Now, you define odd however you want to define odd. But at the end of the day, you're going to find that. And he says they've been dating for a while. At this point, and this is me, I believe men know almost instantaneously whether she is the wife or the girlfriend. I don't know. There's something about men that I don't know if they just know. They see that woman and they say, that woman's going to be my wife. It may take a minute to get there, but they know this. And according to him, I just believe, he says, I'm not ready yet for marriage, but you're ready for me to be my girl. And obviously she's not a teenager. So she's not a girl, she's a woman, and she has other aspirations. And I believe that I believe that maybe he's afraid to be married, but I also believe that she's not the woman for him. And if she's not, then he needs to be man enough to say, you're not. I think we've had a great time, but marriage is not in my cards right now. And let her go about her business. Selah.
Selah. What can we say to these things? My Lord. All right, we're going on to the next question. Is it wrong for one person to make more sacrifices? And I think we have already kind of addressed this in a roundabout way, but I just want to be fair. Is it wrong for one person to make more sacrifices in a relationship than the other? Does this mean that they are not all in? Dr. Gates, we'll go with you. Oh, actually, we'll go with you, Bishop, because I think everyone talk. You're the next one to talk. So,
well, I was really enjoying Jacqueline Gates' soliloquy earlier. I was enjoying that. And I was enjoying Cordelia's, her thesis on progressive sanctification. I was enjoying all of that. But I want to go back to just one thing. The operative word for me in Cordelia's answer about the divorce piece, and I thought it was ingenious what she said, that transparency piece is critical. But I think our people know we're human. They just don't want to know your flaws.
That's right.
And I think that becomes the issue. We're flawed. All of us are flawed people with clay feet. We got issues. I don't think it is healthy to share with your people your flaws, but have them clearly understand you're human, that you have humanity. And just like you walk with them through their human moments, I need you to walk with me through mine.
That's right.
I think that's very, very critical, because ministry is a business. At the end of the day, it is a business. And when we defame and degrade and diminish each other, it does affect the economics of our business, because people want to invest their resources in an institution that they can trust, that is transparent, but not salacious and full of perversion. And some of the things that we say about each other in a divorce can be salacious, can be perverted, and can be downright hateful. So why go through all of that when it's going to really affect your ability to minister to them in a healthy way? So I agree. There has to be a time where you take a step back to heal. But I also think, as a leader who is in that situation, we have to provide them with images and models of healthy relationships. They got to see what a healthy marriage looks like. They got to see what a partnership and collaboration in marriage looks like. We shouldn't show them a jaded side of singleness and not present to them, listen, there are healthy relationships out there. Here they are. Listen to how they made it, how they developed, how they grew. I think that will help our ministry. Now, your next question. I ask it one more time, because I'm going to phrase it differently. Ask it one more time.
Okay. Is it wrong for one person to make more sacrifices in a relationship than the other? Does this mean that they are not all in?
Now, the reason I want you to say that question again, I just had an incident this week, similar to this, where one made a sacrifice, the other has not been making the same level of sacrifice. And this is my answer to that. Marriage is Cordelia's word. It is very complicated. And there will be seasons where you feel like you're making more sacrifices than your spouse is. It is what it is. It's seasons you go through that. But I don't think that anyone should make more sacrifices than the other. But unfortunately, in relationships, there's going to be a season where you're going to go over the top, and it appears as though they're not making any effort at all. Then there's going to be a season where they go over the top, and they're going to look at it and say, you're not doing anything. I think it comes with the relationship. It's complicated. You grow, you change as time goes on, you change. But I think what helps with the sacrifice piece is communication, having a conversation. Honey, I wanted a Range Rover, but I couldn't get the Range Rover because I needed to get a second car for you. So I'm gonna make that sacrifice. And honey, you wanted a 5,000 square foot house. I was good with the condo at 3,500. But no problem. I'm gonna give you the extra room that you want. I mean, those are just a list of certain things. Make sacrifices. But when it comes to the other person making a sacrifice, and it could be minute, I think it comes with communication. Babe, I'd have made 5 or 6 shifts. And I've noticed you have a little hint of selfishness in you. It's not much, just a little self-centeredness in you. I need you to make a little bit more sacrifices. And of course, the woman would say, in what way? It's called communication. They want to communicate. Now, that may not always work in all situations, but I think in most situations, what women appreciate from men is communication, period. Tell me exactly what's on your mind. I can deal with it. I'm not that fragile. Just tell me what's on your mind. But I really believe there's seasons and ebbs and flows in relationship where you're going to make sacrifices sometime more than the others. I think it balances out though at the end.
That's good. Reverend Wallace?
I totally agree with Bishop that that marriage is give and take. Some days we are all giving. Some days one side is giving and the other side is not or cannot, or something's going on. But it is what we do. And one season may be a better season for you. One season, but I think to prevent hostility and anger and disappointment, the key word here is communication.
That's good. Dr. Gates, did you want to add to this?
Yes, I would. I would like to state perception. Because the end of that was, does that mean they're not all in? So I say when you have the right perception of the one you love, you won't start measuring. Don't try with all within you, and definitely it has been explained very thoroughly of the sacrifice and that one may give other than the other, and sacrifices we give up what we want for something of a greater value. But when I start measuring, that means that I have a different perception of you and what you're giving to the relationship. So you want to act, keep yourself in alignment. You want to keep yourself connected to your mate, and you will only do that through what Bishop both have stated, communication. So once you do that, express what you want. That's it. Don't be so skeptical. Don't be a skeptical lover, and trying to put people through so many tests and hypotheses. And if they don't measure up, see, you don't want to do that because you're going to hurt yourself.
That's right.
You're going to hurt yourself in the relationship, and you're going to actually birth a seed of frustration that you cause, and now you're going to be now frustrated, and that person is going on happy and joyous because they're not even seeing that what they are doing is lesser because they're not measuring. And they see you as the one they adore or is pleased with, and you're satisfying them in all levels of what they requested of you. So just have the right perception about your mate. Ask God to keep the right mindset, because sometimes we as women, we look at other relationships and become competitive and comparing what somebody else's man is doing versus what your man is doing. And this is why God said we shouldn't be silly women. Silly women only do that. Oh, I got a Gucci bag and you got a Coach bag. Well, it's a whole lot of variables, and I don't want to take the time. I'm just saying, don't be comparing your marriage to somebody else's. Stay in your measure, in your sphere, and deal with your man, and always have that positive mindset about him, and then you'll receive whatever he gives you. Now, when I say whatever, I'm not meaning nothing dumbed down, but just something that is pleasurable and mutual, respected.
I agree. Bishop, I see, I felt that you was changing the pages to the Bible.
No. When Jackie said the word compare, it made me think about this text of scripture in 2 Corinthians chapter 10 in verse number 12. And I'm reading it from the New Revised Standard Version, so it's going to read a little different than the King James or New King James. But it says in verse 12, we do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who commend themselves. But when they measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another, they do not show good sense. So when I preached a sermon one time called Comparison Trap from that particular text. So when you said that, it sparked that in my mind that you're right. Comparing your marriage and relationship to other people's relationships is not wise. It does not show good sense.
My Lord, today. Jesus.
Uh-oh.
My God. Listen, we got one more question, and we have answered all of the questions that you have sent. And this has been a rich, heavy blow. And I'm hoping that everybody go to church tomorrow and get some more fire, because some of you may be a little bit depleted.
You fireman, come on.
Okay, here's the last question. What do you do if you have an emotionally unavailable partner? How do I get them to open up to me? And I know we kind of hit it a little bit throughout this whole thing. I'm going to ask it again. What do you do if you have an emotionally unavailable partner? How do I get them to open up to me? Dr. Gates, we'll start with you.
That's very painful. And I don't want to say I don't know of a formula or have an antidote, something that has worked. It's just so painful because in my mind, it just didn't happen in the marriage. They came to me, and I could be wrong, they came into the relationship emotionally unavailable, but we can hit the override button because we want to deny what we see, and because we're ready to be attached, we don't know the detriment that an emotional unavailable man can be to a woman. It can actually kill you. It can kill you, because what's happening is you're going to start to repress your emotions because he can't identify with you. So either you're going to now be labeled as a crybaby, you're going to be labeled as a mama's girl, or someone who hasn't grown up. You're not a full woman yet, and I don't want nobody I got to take care of and spoil, all that. You're spoiled. You start getting all these labels, which is also a dysfunction, because now you are emotionally abusing me while you causing me to have repressed emotions to accommodate you, just to live in that environment. It's unhealthy. So I made all my descriptions of it from just hearing it. It just, again, it bothers me. I'm very concerned about that we have two partners and only one is opening up and being transparent and vulnerable. So I would say, because you're married, possibly look for a presbytery, a safe place that you both are willing to go. Men do cry, and that shows their strength, not their weakness. But there's some other layers about him in his anatomy and in his psyche that he is not available. That means he doesn't feel.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about the goosebumps and the chills and the quickenings and all those things. I'm talking about emotionally, something has been detrimental in his life that he may not even be totally aware of it until it, what psychologists that is it Maslow or that until there's friction, until you touch. He doesn't really know the depth of what he's doing because you live autonomous and you're moving on by yourself and doing what you do. And so those are areas you don't really visit until you start rubbing against someone. So I don't say walk away, but I say there could be an answer with a presbytery, or if you have a supportive family, and if there is a mother that's involved in the life of the families, pre-eventually you can build a relationship with her and begin to share with her in portions, not all, about what you're experiencing, trying to connect with her son. And could she give you some help, some tips, because you love him. So you want to first come from that positive to him and to the family and everyone. I love this person. I'm not trying to walk away, but I need to know, how do I connect with them? Because what happens is you start self-inflicting and self-destructing. What am I doing wrong? Am I gaining weight? I don't look as beautiful as the other. What is it that is turning him off? And it's none of those things. It's not you. It's something that he's internally dealing with. And you need to give time, space, prayer, presbytery, family. Those are my things. And my heart goes out to the woman that is in a marriage or even a relationship where you're not getting that emotional healing and health and joy. That's almost like not having no sex. You just can't do it. You can't do it. It's not healthy. That's my point. I'm gonna give it. The car without no engine.
You ain't going nowhere.
You parked and you don't even want to be parked.
My Lord. Bishop, we're going to throw it to you, then we're going to throw it to Reverend Wallace.
Scientific in the seminary.
I agree with what Jack said, but just to add to it, a text of scripture, and this is just my opinion, it's difficult when people have been offended. It's very difficult. And Solomon in Proverbs 18 and 19 said, a brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city. And their contentions are like the bars of a castle. Then in the New Revised Standard Version, it would say an ally offended. Someone you're in relationship with is harder to win than a strong city. Quarreling is like the bars of a castle.
Wow.
Once someone in a relationship has been bruised and wounded, if real, transparent, and that's that word Cordelia used, apology is given. I mean, being transparent about, I hurt you, not if I hurt you. I hurt you. I'm sorry for hurting you. And this is the next layer of apology is, what can I do to fix it? See, most people apologize and never put the caveat, what can I do to fix it? Because that's a true apology. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I take accountability for it. Now, what can I do to make it right? What can I do so we can heal the relationship? Because offenses are going to come, period. Jesus said offenses are going to come. But woe unto them who the offense comes through. That means the person that caused the infraction. So the person that caused the infraction should take the responsibility of apologizing, being accountable to it. But then how do I fix it? And I think that becomes the problem or the nuance. We don't want to fix it because, as Jack said, we don't want to put in the work. So I take away from our discussion today Cordelia's word on transparency and Jack's word on put in the work. It's relationships take honesty, openness, and work. You got to apologize. You got to wear it. You really got to wear it. But the Bible is right. It's when someone is offended, you really have to say, I'm going to fix this. I've got to fix this. It's not just them accepting it. No, I've got to repair it some kind of way. So I think, to me, that's kind of the lens I look at it through.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Reverend Wallace, what is your take on this?
I think both of Pastor Jackie and Shirley Bishop have dealt in it. But one thing is, we don't know that they're married. It says partner.
That's true.
That's a scary word.
And when it says partner, that doesn't say husband to me, or it doesn't say wife to me. And here I go again, though, Bishop. I think we make for relationships that don't have deadlines, we make too much of an emotional investment. And then you find yourself in these places that you are pretending like you're married and you're not. And here we go again. And love covers a multitude of your weaknesses and your faults. So what I think I should be seeing, I choose not to see. And when you hurt me, then I see those things for real, for real. In reality, I should not even be as invested emotionally in this because it doesn't have a deadline. And this becomes the problem that many of the relationships that we're talking about today are in those places. They don't have deadlines, and they have had, and this is a probability, they've had some kind of sexual something that has caused their eyes to be blinded now, and they want to say what they see, but they can't say that because it will take away from something else. And there is a difference between me being married to you and me being your partner. And I am so not saying that as a partner, I should not feel warm and fuzzy towards you. But what I am saying, if we don't have a plan in place, you talk about a plan, Bishop. If we don't have a plan in place, I need to rein myself in. I need to pull myself back from this, because the outcome of this are these kinds of questions. What do I do if my partner emotionally unavailable? What do I do? You don't have nothing to do because you don't have no grounds to stand on. You can say a lot of things. You can interject how you're feeling, but a lot of this is speculation that I'm feeling and maybe you're not feeling. And this may be a sidebar, because I think Dr. Jackie said that if they're married, then they should go to maybe his mother and talk to his mother. Now, this is me talking about marriage. I don't think that as a wife, I don't ever think that you should go to his mother unless you got that real relationship with his mother. Now, with his mother, I think that in situations such as this, you should go outside to people that don't know you and don't have some kind of attachment to you, so that if you want real answers, You get real answers. I'm not always saying you've got to go to a therapist. I'm not always saying that you've got to go see someone of another gender, another color than what we are. But it should be someone, even in our Christian cultural community, that will be very honest and very truthful with you. Because let's put Bishop Liston out there. His mama loved herself some Liston Pace Jr. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'ma come to her and say, Mother Hazel, now you know Liston did this and Liston did that. And you know what Mother Hazel gonna say to me? Daughter, you're absolutely right. That's my son. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna protect him. I'm gonna uphold him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad saying this to you, but I love my son.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes, that not only hurts you, that now gives you another perception of who you're dealing with, even in relationship. You see what I'm saying? So I say, go find somebody. If that's a married relationship, go find some. There's a lot of trustworthy people that's not going to put your business out. There's a lot of people out there that's not going to do that. Go find that person, but emotionally, if he's unavailable, there's some other stuff that's going on.
My Lord. Dr. Gates, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, my hand is up. Those are great points. And I do agree with them of what the outside voices, churchy word, or outside counselors, because they can be objective, whereas a mom will be subjective as well as territorial. However, what I meant in its fullness is that daughter should want to build a relationship with the mom, and who better knows their child than the one that birthed them. So you're not going to give a whole laundry list. As I forestated, you're going to use wisdom and tact and just share a portion enough to get insight. Because sometimes in families, they already know their children crazy, but you the one that like okay, listen, they want y'all to get married because you're gonna be the redeemer, you the rescuer. You're the one, but
you're right. You're right, Dr. Jackie. But
you're gonna come and rescue this family. Maybe your problem now.
But you know what?
Aim him. Nobody could.
But you're absolutely right. But hear this. No, let me finish. I've had to learn this, and we keep deferring to the scripture. But one of the things I've learned, I had to learn it in my own marriage, and I've had to learn it in my daughter's marriage to my son-in-law. And the Bible says, forsake mother and father and cleave to your spouse.
Yes.
And too often, sometimes we interrupt that cleaving process by giving our definition of what it should look like. And I love my son-in-law, and y'all know I love my daughter, but there's some things as a mother-in-law I stay 5,000 feet out of, because I didn't want my mother-in-law in my marriage, because she had a marriage already. I was learning how to cleave to my spouse. I was learning how to go through ins and outs with my spouse. And I think marriage requires that of us. And I don't believe the scriptures would have given us this. Now, do that mean that I don't go visit? Do that mean I don't want to hug my baby and all that? It does not. But I think that there are some parts to that because you love them so much that you infer your experience and not the experience that they should be having.
Before I throw it to Bishop, because I see he's
moving his paper.
I want Bishop
to
to
ask this question, Prophet as well, and I'll let you go as well. I hear what Prophetess Gates is saying, and I hear what you're saying. And what I hear is what she's saying is get to know your partner's family. Now, do we do that before marriage so that we can have a little bit more understanding on the one that we are in relationship with? And then once the marriage is there, then we have to learn to back up so that we can go through our trials and tribulations
Absolutely.
together.
I mean, if you love me, you wanna tell everybody. You know, if you love me, you want your family to know who I am. They may not agree that you should marry me, but it's not their decision. We're over 21 years of age. It's not their decision. But I want to have relationship with them because you have relationship with them. You know, I may not call my mother-in-law mom. You know, I might, I don't know, Mother Hazel. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't know. But I mean, I called my father-in-law 30-something years. I always called him Elder Wallace, you know, not because I disrespected him, but that wasn't where I was in relationship. But at the end of the day, you want that. But after you get married, you know, you also want to learn how to debate with yourselves. You also want to learn how to love and make up with yourselves. You also want to learn how to have a good day and have a bad day and go to bed at night and say good night. You want to learn that. And that takes what the scripture says. You forsake mother and father and you cleave. I'm mad at you, but I'm asleep under you tonight. How's that? You know, I don't want to talk to you, but I'm used to your leg being over me. How's that? See what I'm saying? That's how you learn to do this. We ain't got a lot of money this week, but we can't go to Mama Jackie and ask her for no money. We're going to figure this out because it's us, babe. It's me and you, babe. We're going to figure this out. If we got to eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich for the rest of the week, we ain't calling Mama Gates and say, Mama, can you give us some money for some chicken? That's how you develop that kind of relationship that you really cleave to that spouse. And what you will find in that, when you do stuff like that, is that not only do you love that person more, you have strength together.
Ooh, this is so good, but we are now over time. Yes, I'm going to give everybody. Yes, you're going to do it because I want to hear it. But I'm asking if we can incorporate it in your final remarks. So whatever you're going to say, can we
Figueroa in my final remarks? But it's okay.
No, okay. Listen, I've got to go. Prophetess Wallace has to go. She's out of town, and I don't want to hold her as well too. And I want her to have her final remarks. And I know Bishop, he was searching the scriptures. I'm here for it all night. Okay, but so this is what we're going to do. Bishop, if you can give us what your response was to that last piece and then your final remarks, and then Dr. Gates, if you can give us your last remarks from that last piece and then your final remarks, and then we'll be in the hands of Prophetess Wallace. Can we do it like that? Let's go.
Pastor Hattie, this has been an incredible, amazing conversation, dialogue on today. And I want to thank you again for being the host and setting the temperature and the climate for us to have this kind of liberty to give our expressions and our thoughts and our opinions. But I'll close on this. This is what I'm going to really close on. I agree with everything that Jack and Cordelia has said today, but as an insertion, just as an insertion, I just believe the Bible paradigm and template for relationship, if employed right, even though this is a different time, 21st century, and we're getting our directions from an ancient archaic writing, I still believe that there's a proper pedagogy we could put it in and apply it today. In biblical culture, they married into tribes. That's very important that you find your tribe. That's number one. And when you find your tribe, based on what Moses said, he said, I do not want you to give your children over to strange tribes that don't think like you think, because it's going to ultimately affect the next generation. I think when you know your tribe, everybody becomes family. It's not mother-in-law, it's mom. It's not father-in-law, it's dad, because we have the same things in common. Now, that doesn't always work, and I prove it to you in scripture. Hophni and Phinehas was raised in the same house as Samuel, and they were freaks.
My Lord.
Period. So just because we're raised in the same environment doesn't mean that we're going to produce the same fruit. But I think when you find your tribe and people that are moving in the same prophetic direction as you, it becomes easy to integrate those family dynamics, because in the biblical context, they took the son or the boy as a son now. They took the girl as a daughter now. And they got the same rights, the same privileges, and they viewed each other as one and not separate. That's why it was easy to cleave to one another, because I'm not going home to my mama because my mama feels the same way my spouse does, because we have the same ideologies. And I think that's important. We don't talk enough about finding the person that you were created for, that has the same concerns, the same desires. Even as you evolve together, not separately, but you evolve together as one. So I think that's important.
That's a whole sermon. That's powerful. That was rich. Dr. Gates.
Yes, I was inserting as well about those we would go to, and what I was stating was because Pastor Bishop Cordelia spoke very transparent relative to her daughter, and we all know that's a Figueroa brand. So what I was stating was, I don't even want to go in that room. I'm not going to touch that room in the sense of speaking about the Figueroa brand, because I know Archbishop Figueroa will call me. So we've been in enough rings. I don't want to get in a ring with him. So what I will say to all of the women, read Titus 2. When you read Titus 2, that will give you some understanding and help about the aged women and all of that interchange and that interfacing. My last statement would be Hebrews, I believe it's 13:4, that marriage is honorable and the bed is undefiled. So I pray that each of you that desire a mate, companionship, a love walk, a good relationship and partnership, it brings honor to God when you honor what he has created on earth for you to interact with. You make the definition, because it's undefiled. So whatever you want to do, you want to swing from the chandelier, you want to walk in the park, wherever you want to do, it's honorable and it's undefiled. That means that it is noteworthy for the both of you, your mutual enjoyment. I hope that happens. For those that are having challenges in your relationship, I pray that mutually you both heal. I pray that you not stay in a wounded place, and that you find, who you are, as well as until your mate come, and then after he comes, love yourself like the person you want to make love to. And when you love yourself that way, you'll be able to be a balanced individual, and someone will want to love you back the same way or greater.
Thank you, Jesus.
This is my prayer, Lord. Pentecost Sunday is coming.
Me.
Let the fireman come on out.
Our Lord, Reverend Wallace, we're in your hands.
I want to piggyback on what Bishop Liston said, and surely celebrate Pastor Hattie for again permitting us this platform of conversation. and then surely to Dr. Jackie, who always gives us the twist that we all need to really think outside of the box. And surely to my brother and my friend, Bishop Liston, for always digging a little bit deeper, and kind of turning that thing. Surely, always a delight. There are so many things that we all have said until I don't want to have a cap to put on it. I think this is really a Selah moment.
Yeah.
I think all of these questions have really targeted so many different kinds of conversations. But the key part of the conversation to this afternoon has been relationships. And it almost saddens my heart prophetically to really hear that so many are having these kinds of entanglements and issues in their relationships, when it was God that created this relationship. And how he brought man and woman together. And so that part for me is saying to those of you that submitted questions, and I wish we had time to go back and answer so many of your questions that were in the comments, even, that were so vital for such a time as this, but we don't. But there are two things that we need to understand. We need to understand that in relationships, you must always integrate prayer as a priority. Let me say that again. In relationships, you must always integrate prayer as a priority. And I'm not talking about you praying outside of him. I'm talking about bringing prayer together into that relationship, because as you pray together, God will cause your union to not only become stronger, but he will also ward off all of those concerns and insecurities and devastations and lack of emotion and not being in tune to you. He'll do all of those things when you learn to pray together. The success of a Bishop Liston Sr. and a Mother Hazel Page is that when they started out praying together. And as their family grew, they taught their family how to pray because they did it together. Now, surely anybody that knows Bishop Liston Sr. and Mother Hazel, you would presume that she is the voice behind everything. But the reality is she knows when to step back, because she's always had the man that has led the way. In all of this, let the men lead the way. We know we all, these three women sitting here, we know what we can do. We know the power, but give yourself permission, women, to let him lead the way. Give him the push that he needs to lead the way. That's really what a lot of this conversation is lacking, that we are fighting the lead and always feeling like we have to be the equal. We are equal, but give him what God gave him, was to lead us, to be able to walk behind him and maybe not beside him, because if he's leading, he's got a plan and he's got a vision. So take that. What happens as we navigate through this? We're kind of all on the edge of the seat, excited about Pentecost Sunday, but something came with Pentecost Sunday. Power came with Pentecost. And what we need to understand prophetically in this hour is that there is a power of God that is being released in the earth, that we will become responsible for the explosion of this next season. So rather than fight with each other, let's do what Pentecost is supposed to do. Let's release the power into the atmosphere. Let's decree and declare what God has already said in heaven and is getting ready to release by tomorrow this time. Know that this is the season of tremendous favor, the season of tremendous power, and then the season of the great wonders, signs, and miracles that God has ordained for our lives. This is not just any season. It's our season. Take your season. Move your season. Thrust into your season. Be excited about your season. But the fact of the matter is, your season makes my season even better. And so we're not in war, but we are in unity. The Bible says they were in one place and they were in one accord. What does that say to me? That we're in unity. So thank you again, Pastor Hattie, Dr. Jackie, and Bishop for this time of conversation. I pray this evening as we navigate that each of you, we've not done this in a while, but I want to prophetically encourage you to sow $100 seed tonight. This is not, I'm so done with begging believers. I'm so done with doing that. We do what we want to do. This is a platform that all of us take very seriously. All of us need this. All of us gain from this. All of us are strengthened from it. You're going to have money for service tomorrow. You have money for your nails and your white dress already today. So you're going to have what you need for tomorrow. But I need every one of you. Every one of you. There's so many of you. I don't even know the number. And then those of you that will come back and view with us again. Would you do me a favor tonight? Would you sow that $100 seed? And somebody say, Reverend Wallace, I just don't have it. I get it. It may not be your financial month, but I'm not going to auction what we've heard tonight. I'm not going to say that it didn't matter, because it did matter. So if that 100 is not what you can do, come as close to it as you possibly can, because your seed backs up what you heard. If you had to go and talk to people, you'd have to pay me a lot of money for what you got tonight.
That's right.
That's right.
You'd have to pay Dr. Jackie a lot of money for what you got tonight. You had uninterrupted 2.5 hours of us, 4 of us talking. And we gave you transparency. We gave you the word. We gave you insight. And we gave you what we really don't give most. We gave you us. We want you to do this because God sent us to be a voice for him. So for what he's getting ready to do in this season. I need you to sow that seed. It's all on the platform. I'm going to ask to be excused. I've got one more event to get to with Bishop Murphy tonight. And I've got to do this. Will you all close in prayer? But thank you, Pastor Hattie, for allowing me the opportunity. While I'm still here, I need to see some more dones. I did mine. Don't make me be a babysitter. Come on now, your Bishop listening. You in charge from this point on to make sure that they do what they've got to do. I don't see it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I see you doing it now. Thank you
so much, Prophetess Wallace. And we're not going to hold you. Please, you can exit off. We always love your contribution, your prophetic edge, and what you have been called to do with the Calling All Hannahs. Thank you so much. And we pray for your next assignment. To the rest of you, those of you that heard the appeal, I encourage you to do that. But I also want to add to that, those of you, especially those of you that submitted these questions, I don't want you to leave here burdened, but I want you to leave here informed. And I want you to sow your seed. And those of you who found yourself in this conversation, and maybe you have to grow, and maybe you have to do a little better, I want you to label your seed restoration. I don't believe by chance that you are at this place at this moment for God just to allow you just to rip everything up and throw everything out the window. But I want you to have faith that God can even resurrect your relationship. Even as Prophetess Wallace was talking about Pentecost, don't forget Pentecost also included restoring Peter back to his place. Because over 2 months, when those weeks when he denied Christ, he broke that kind of fellowship, and he felt so bad that he did not honor his commitment to the relationship. But when Jesus came back, those 40 days that he walked that earth, he asked, "Where is Peter?" And he asked him, "Do you love me? If you love me, come on, this is what I need you to do." Even though I know that some of you are feeling like, Lord, I did it again. And, I ruined it again. And maybe, that room that you closed off for somebody, nobody else is going to hurt me like that. But Jesus is calling your name, and he's saying, open up again, because I have plans for you, and I want you to love again, and I want you to trust again. And we've got to learn to agree with him and agree with the power of Pentecost. Agree that the Holy Spirit has power to transform you and heal you in a moment's notice. And that growth will be so enlarged, just like when Peter stepped out. He stepped out, and because of his sermon, 3,000 people was joined to the church because of that restoration. It didn't take God long. It didn't take Jesus long to restore Peter. And so for some of you, God is restoring you back to your place in your home. He's restoring you back to the place in your relationships. Thank you, Apostle Phyllis Young. I also saw my mother, Mother Newman, on as well too, and all of the grace gifts that have come on and supported and gave aid with your comments. But I also want you, those of you, if you could not do the 100, do something, whether it ends in 20, 40, 80, or 100. I want you to take it seriously. God has you in mind, and he has your relationship in mind, and he does not make a mistake. And just because it gets a little difficult, it don't mean that you don't have the power to persevere. Listen, our time has come to an end. I am so excited about this Girl Talk. It's always something that we all can chew on, and we all can say, oh, that's a Selah moment. That was that hit me in the gut. But it's to make us better and to grow us. And so thank you so much. And if you have not already done so, shared, I want you to share it, because there's people that may have been working, or people that may have been preparing for Pentecost, but they're going to come back. I want you to share it so that others can be blessed. Listen, until next time, but don't forget to register for our prayer and our prophetic encounter. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and I want to see you there. I want to see you there. Until next time, go in peace. Thank you, Bishop Page. Thank you, Dr. Gates. I love you guys. You're so wonderful. Have a great day.
Yes.
I speak to your spirit that's still resisting this next move. Get up of here. Get up of here. You shall not quit. You shall not die until you see the promises of God.
And God said, I can qualify you, come on, to give birth. I can qualify you to handle pain and yet still press out purpose. Some of you have spiritual tapeworms because you're listening to everybody but your leader.
Because as long as his soul is in alignment, I'm giving back his stuff.
I'll forgive the sin. I'll heal your life. Your breakthrough, it is your promise. You got to tell frustration, you've held me long enough. I've got to move. Take your hands off of me.